finish on.
Book club, the next chapter. No, thank you.
Nope.
It's like 80 for Brady. There's no fucking.
Oh man,
there's
yeah.
No fucking.
Every time I look at the 80 for Brady trailer, I'm like,
whoa, we look. It's like a stripper, but it's a statue. It's like, how fucking horny do you have to be to look at like the statue of David and be like, I need to fuck that.
it's pretty intense, dude.
Yeah, it's like what? Who's this appealing to? Like, are like old women going to the movies like that? Is that? I don't understand the appeal.
Yeah, it's just like, what makes you think that there's a market for this?
Like, there's no like. Even if I was the biggest Tom Brady fan, I'm not going to see 80 for Brady. That's not fucking happening. I don't. Is it just because like, well, these old broads, they used to be a commodity, but so let's get them.
Yeah, we got it.
Fucking
Especially
Diane
like,
Keaton, she was in The Godfather.
in like years after Tom Brady played for the Patriots.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's like a time capsule story based on a true story. I don't give a shit. The fucking Facebook movie exists. That's a true story.
That's a good point.
Even if it's not a true story at all.
That's
But
close enough.
it's close. Hey, that's banter.
Alright.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome to the show. You know how we do. We talk about 80 for Brady.
80 for Brady.
So I just don't understand why Gronk would even sign up for the movie.
Yeah, well, that I get.
Yeah.
That one makes sense. Because there's a paycheck.
It's a paycheck.
And it's a
Gronk.
lot better than getting hit in the face.
Well, for his career, he really didn't get hit in the face as much as he's a big dude.
Yeah, he is a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. A devastating event takes out most of the world's population. Humans are forced to retreat underground. One man from this dystopian future is sent back in time, maybe, potentially to stop this horrific event from happening. Will he do it and find out why his memories are haunting him? Or there's some other shit going on? I don't know. All it's going to mean one thing: we watch La Jetée and 12 Monkeys on this episode of Retro vs. Remake.
Retro vs. Remake!
Yeah.
Let's play that music.
Oh,
That fucking music is great.
they're like the tango music.
The tango music, yeah, it's so good. It's so perfect, and you also no one's ever used it since, like, anything like it. So I think it's perfect. It really is perfect.
It's like it frames these scenes up so well. Like it's there. It never feels like it's overpowering the scene.
Yeah.
And you're right. It feels like.
But it's like playful and eerie at the same
Yes.
time, which is what this movie kind of is.
Totally. That's
the remake.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one not so much playful.
No, it's not playful at all.
It can be eerie.
Oh, it's super eerie.
Yeah.
And it's very. I don't know if you. I mean, we'll just dive into it, I guess. When you watched the short, did you get very student film vibes from it?
Oh,
I did.
yeah.
It's like, it's like just the way it's shot, because it's all like pictures. It's like, I am alone. I am Prometheus man. And everyone has those like, oh, he's a doctor because he's got those weird goggles.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have as well, but I've seen quite a few student films in my day. And,
saw one last night.
that's right.
Stingaroo.
It's not.
Yeah. There's not many student films that I'm like, yeah, that was good.
No, there's like almost.
No, there's none.
I'll give us a quick breakdown, and I want to talk about all this stuff.
Yes.
La Jetée is a 1962 French science fiction featurette directed by Chris Marker. Let's see, written by Chris Marker, starring, I mean, it doesn't even matter who's starring, but Helene Chatelain, Davos Hanek, and Jacques Ledoux, and narrated by, really, I guess the star of our film, in my opinion, Jane Negroni.
Yeah, he's definitely the star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With and just because of how this works, I guess cinematography by Jean Chabot, and Chris Marker. So it's a 28-minute long French science fiction.
Yes, and I think it's the only movie that's ever been. The cinematography was done on Microsoft Paint.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm making that up. I'm
I
just
could
joking,
believe
but
it.
yeah, it's like.
I was like,
shot.
wait a minute, it's 1960. Come on, Reggie, be more skeptical.
Is that
time
what?
travel.
Is that what it was?
Was that?
Is that when it was made?
Yeah, this was.
Oh, I
made
didn't even. She would.
in '62, but like you could have made this.
Wow. So Kennedy could have seen this.
Kennedy may have seen this. Yeah, and it's basically it's a slideshow.
Yeah.
It's a slideshow with narration about a dystopian future.
I mean, essentially, all movies are slideshows,
Oh,
but you know,
damn.
you know what I meant.
You spitting right now. 12 Monkeys is a 1995 American science fiction film directed by Terry Gilliam. Of course, it was inspired by, it's the remake of Chris Marker's 1962 film La Jetée.
La Jetée.
With a screenplay by David Peoples and Janet Peoples.
Come on, Peoples, man.
Starring Bruce Willis, Madeline Stowe, Brad Pitt, and Christopher Plummer. With, I guess, cinematography by Roger Pratt. Unlike the other films, 28 minutes, this is 129 minutes. Yeah.
Overshot it a little bit. It's egregious how like the movie is. You took La Jetée and made it into this. Like it's almost like how high were you? Like that you took that and made it into this. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You know, without getting too deep into it, this is a true adaptation. Like this is, you know, here's our source material. We've got the bones of it, and then just like, yeah, here's all the stuff that could have happened in between. You know, I guess as we talk, I'll make some arguments about like I guess the future time traveling that occurs in the original.
Yeah,
like, that would be to me like the only major distinction between I guess how the films are structured. But you're right, like how they were able to expand all of this.
Yeah.
From La Jetée.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. I mean, so
I know we both watched La Jetée for the first time for this podcast.
Correct.
Because why would we be watching 1962?
That's true. I've always been aware of it though.
Right?
Like it's always been on my radar. Not that I also didn't dislike it when I said like the student vibes,
Oh, no, I know
student
what you
film vibes, but
I know what you mean.
it's definitely like once it was. I had to. I guess I'm glad that I have because I had to be forced to watch it for this, so
sure.
it's different.
That's good. I think I'm as a person that I guess not deeply, but like I've studied film in the past. I've taken some like film study classes, so I don't want to overstate this.
Yeah.
But you know, I've been a fan of like certain French films. Like I go back and like Alphaville. I think they have a Brave New World that was like a French film.
Really?
At some point. I think so. Don't quote me, but like that like new wave era French film, I thought it was actually pretty dope.
Existentialism.
Mm-hmm. This isn't quite that, but it feels like a kind of a precursor to that era.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be too far from that era.
No.
Or whatever.
Yeah. And then like 12 Monkeys. I mean, for me, this is actually my first time actually seeing 12 Monkeys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like I was aware of the film, didn't really know what it was about. Like I mostly just knew like the cover. Like
yeah. With the eye.
Yeah, which had the 12 Monkeys logo in it.
Yeah, the 12
I didn't know that because
yeah, at first you're like, is this a
The poster could
Terminator
have been
movie? Yeah, the poster could have been better. Because it does, it's very Terminator. Yeah, it's very Terminator-esque.
Which I think is why, weirdly enough, maybe why I'd never seen it, because I was like, well, Terminator exists. Why would I need to watch this? That was a mistake.
I think,
12 Monkeys.
It really should have just been the logo, and it should have been just the movie.
That would have
But
been cool.
you have to have... But also they're like, well, you gotta have Bruce Willis on the poster, but you don't really see his face.
Right.
Like, it's just a bald guy.
Right.
It could be anyone.
Yeah.
And then, like, Madeline Stowe, like, behind him, and then Brad Pitt behind her. But talk about capitalizing on Brad Pitt as, like, a commodity.
Oh, man, they...
I just said commodity twice in, like, 15 minutes.
That's smart.
But because they got him, I was even, like, doing research on it, like, reading about it, while I was rewatching this, when they got him, he wasn't Brad Pitt yet in this movie. And then while they were making this, he did it for like a very low amount of money.
Right.
He did the movie, and I think Bruce Willis
Everyone
did it
took
for
a pay
free.
cut.
Yeah, everyone did a pay cut. Bruce Willis just wanted to work with Terry Gilliam.
Right.
And then he made money on the back end, but
Funny enough, this pay cut happened because Waterworld was the previous movie from the studio, and they were like, we're running out of money.
Yeah,
we fucked up.
We fucked up big time. But Waterworld's, you know what? As much of a disaster as that movie was, I'll still watch it. Watch it all the time.
Watch Waterworld.
I'll watch it all the time.
Right.
Dry land is not a myth.
One of the few films that starts with a guy drinking his own piss.
That's true. With gills. Mm-hmm. But so they got him. They got Brad Pitt early. They got him right after they made this movie. Legends of the Fall hit, and Seven hit.
Right.
And then he became like a fucking big deal. And then this movie came out, and he got an Academy Award nomination for this too.
Yep. Yeah. He apparently at one point he worked with some kind of like psychologist, like a doctor who worked at a mental facility. And was like, "Yo, teach me how they move." He really he invested.
Yeah, he did invest. But what I thought was even funnier is that like he did all this work, and Terry Gilliam was still like,
yeah,
like that's really not working. So instead, he just stole his cigarette.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that made him like fucking itchy.
That's pretty good.
But so this is all your first foray.
First run through for me.
Wow.
Okay. What about you? Like
for me, I remember seeing the poster for 12 Monkeys in the theater, and I remember it came out around the same time as like Bruce Willis had some big movies back to back in a row. Like it was Pulp Fiction, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Last Man Standing, which I think we should do that on this podcast at one point.
Cool.
I don't know when, but I think it's Yojimbo is the.
I've seen funny. No, I'll say it. I've seen Yojimbo. So yeah.
Okay.
I have not seen Last Man Standing. Early spoilers.
Oh, it's like a gangster western, which is like my idea for my television show, Cowboy Columbo. We just take the gangster that we take Columbo and just put him in the West. But I digress. I remember saying to my cousin at the time and being like, I really want to see this movie because he's like, he's got a lit, and he's like, fucking why? And I think I remember seeing it specifically like, I was young, but I was in my parents' bedroom and I watched it, and then I got to the end, I was like, wait, what?
Right.
What the fuck?
Right.
Like, and I was so confused, because I was like 11.
Sure.
And like I watched it, like, well, that doesn't make sense. And then I watched it, I had to watch it again. I remember I got the VHS of this movie.
Right.
So I watched that and I was like, oh, yo. And I was like, this is so deep. I mean, it still is pretty deep, but at the time when I'm like 11, I fucking think I understand all of the nuances that are going on in this film. I fucking fell in love with it. I was really in love with this movie.
Especially for the time period.
It
certainly was.
It was big and like, and you know, they all kind of do really well in that movie, in this movie.
I'm glad that I saw La Jetée first, just because with this being my first foray into 12 Monkeys, just having something to kind of like latch onto in terms of like the plot and being able to follow it. Because I'd be interested to see how I would have reacted if it was just me watching that movie with no other context. But that universe does not exist.
No.
Not currently. But like you were saying, seeing how they expanded this short film.
It's actually very impressive.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, but let's get into that.
Sure.
So this is my one qualm with the movie, and watching it through like my adult eyes, and also watching it as a post-pandemic eyes.
Yeah.
So in La Jetée, it's they don't quite say it's nuclear, but it's devastating. It's a devastating bomb war that has devastated human beings, and they kind of say radiation.
Yeah.
So
let me give them a quick synopsis.
Okay,
and
go ahead.
We'll break it. So in the past, in the past, a devastating event. One situation, it's nuclear fallout, we assume. The other, it's a bio disease, like human engineered, that wipes out most of the world's population. People are forced to like go underground, where there's like experiments being done on people, and they're ultimately through those experiments they try to travel back in time. So they send a guy who actually time traveling's tough. So not everyone can do it. there's a guy who seems to have an affinity for it. They send him back, and he keeps reliving this moment in his past as he's time traveling and trying to figure out what that moment was.
He's remembering seeing when he was a kid, seeing a guy get killed in front of him.
That's right. Yep. And an airport in both films.
Yes.
And there's also a woman in that memory that over time he realizes is a woman that he sees when he travels back in time.
Yeah.
She tries to help him. He tries to figure things out. And ultimately, this character realizes that this moment in time that he keeps remembering may have involved him in more ways than he expected.
Yes.
And that's basically it. Like, I wouldn't say there's any real like resolution to like, do they change the past or not? Like, in theory, you can't change the past.
In theory.
But
in rationale, you can.
Yeah.
In theory, I don't know.
It's like
since you can't do it, we haven't been able to do it yet.
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know.
Well, in any like time loop movie like this is always like, well, the events that are happening, quote unquote, from the future affecting the past, is still just, I don't know, playing out into that future.
Yeah.
You know how these time travel movies get.
So what I was saying, the first thing of how the settings of both, it makes sense in La Jetée that they're underground.
Yeah.
But it kind of doesn't make sense that they're underground in 12 Monkeys.
I can agree with that.
Because it's biochemicals.
Right.
Like, it's not that the air itself is infected,
it's the same air.
and it's the same air.
Yeah.
Like, and hate to break it to you, rodents are getting in underground, like all those other things. So they're going to carry some of that disease. And
Sure. Now, maybe there's an argument to be made that this is like a defense mechanism because the animals have like populated so much that like, but even that, like, why would you just be in like a building?
Yes.
Like, we already solved that problem thousands of years ago.
And some of the stuff with the animals, like, although it looked really cool,
cool.
like some with the animals, like in they're in Philadelphia, and it's snowing, and he's out collecting samples for these scientists or whatever of the diseased world, and he's out in like his big suit, which looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's very like Clockwork Orange. It's very Kubrickian, this movie.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Kubrick influence. You can see it.
Which kind of makes sense too with some of the imagery from the '62 film as well. Like, just some of the effects do remind me of like a Kubrick type film, like especially the goggles.
Yes, the
that
goggles.
They have. I'm like, okay, this feels like something I could see in like a Clockwork Orange.
But you could actually see the opposite there, because you could see Kubrick being like, "That's cool, and I'm going to use that." Whereas like 12 months, it's like a loop.
Yeah,
it's a fucking loop.
It's a fucking time loop.
Oh my god, yo.
Yeah.
Anyway. So no, but then they have like the lion. He's on top of whatever building in Philadelphia in the snow, which looks really cool and like roaring. But I'm just like, he'd be dead. Like, he's not surviving a winter.
Lions in,
in the northeast corridor.
That's true.
He's not doing that.
Yeah, there's some things like that I don't think that either movie is trying to ground itself in realism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is like elements of it. I mean, there are elements of realism, but also the big part, which I think is very interesting in both movies, is that the prison system exists still. No matter if there's 1% of the population left, or 5 billion people get killed.
Right.
Whichever one you want to believe. And the prison system keeps on going, baby. No problem. And that's where they recruit their volunteers.
Right.
Which is very totalitarian, the way they volunteer. And it's also that kind of element to both of these.
Yeah. I think that the prison system setup, like, weirdly enough, even though the other movies are short because of the narration and things are being said more sort of explicitly, I had a better feel of I mean, it still doesn't make sense to imprison people after all this, but like, I had a better sense of what was happening in the prison. Like, they were saying, hey, we've got these prisoners, we're experimenting on them, and like, it's clear that that's happening in the remake as well, but like, it's not just set outright in the same way. So like,
well, that's the opening shot is like they were like coming down with the crane machine almost. Like
Yeah.
they were like, you're volunteering, and he's like taking him away.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, I don't want to volunteer.
Right.
And then they even say it to Bruce Willis. They're like, hey, you volunteered. He's like, I didn't volunteer. And he's like, yes, you did. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I also like, so, go ahead.
I
Keep going.
guess, yeah. There's just, it's torture either way though. Like, there's like just a more, I guess, obvious torture element
Yeah.
in the original.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's the distinction I'm trying to make. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, the means...
Which is like, why bother?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Why?
But also I think that if you had a level catastrophic level event that wiped out the human race, I think you would actually have plenty of volunteers to be like, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Like, that would be like, yeah, try and fucking put me back in time.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do it. I'll do it right now. Fucking sign me up.
There's plenty of people. I mean,
You would probably do it.
I
Like,
think so.
yo, you have high schools named after Reggie Parker?
That'd be
Like,
sick.
yo,
That'd be sick.
Reginald Parker Junior High?
well, you bring that up.
Reginald Parker Jr. Junior High?
Future junior high.
Yes.
Yeah. You brought up that, right? Like the volunteering and devastation stuff. Like watching these films again after the lens of the pandemic,
Yes.
the COVID-19. I mean, weirdly enough, we just went through the Canadian wildfire.
Yes.
thing. Like our air was like hazy and orange.
Yeah.
It smelled like smoke because of fire like 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's wild. Fire.
So,
Yeah.
and fire.
And
But to your point, like, I think you're right, because, like, when you saw COVID-19, there were plenty of people like, I want to go outside.
yes.
So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, there would be volunteers like, hey, you don't have to
You don't have to.
lock me up, bro. Like,
And- Yeah, and for the record, I just want to be known that because of the Canadian smoke thing, this is what happens when you have Las Vegas playing Florida in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes.
Canada gets pissed, bro.
That's a
They're
good
looking
point.
around, they're like, they don't even have ice in Vegas or
That's a good
Florida.
point.
How are they playing hockey?
That's a good point.
Yet the fucking Toronto Maple Leafs can't make it through. They get pissed. Canadians are cool until you fucking make fun of hockey.
Yep.
Or Tim Hortons.
They love Tim Hortons.
they
And
love-
poutine.
And poutine. But who doesn't love poutine?
Poutine's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
That's best thing coming out of Canada.
I would go with Michael J. Fox. But that's
Hey.
me.
That's pretty good, too.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald, maybe.
Pretty good, too.
Yeah. Anyway, but
Yeah.
I also like the way, the different mechanisms that they send them back in time.
Okay.
Like, it's, so, the thing in the original, La Jetée,
The Jetty.
the Jetty, that it's almost like did he go back in time?
Right.
Or is this a deep meditation? Because that's the way they do it in that one. It's basically they're going through the mind.
Yeah.
And he has to go into, like, basically cling onto a memory and then.
It's kind of like Inception-y in that way.
Yes,
They're
that's exactly what I thought too. I
Yeah.
got such Inception vibes
Right.
that you can actually see where Christopher Nolan took from this a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I guess they're trying to solve it, sort of like what they're doing in 12 Monkeys.
Yes.
But like, how? Like, like.
Look, I think they're trying anything at that point.
Yeah.
It's like trying and examining like that life and trying to duplicate it, but he does duplicate it.
Now, that was almost like resource based, right? Or was 12 Monkeys more resource based? Like, I thought that there was like some purpose, like, you can't go to space. You
Yeah.
can't like go to the surface. So it's like almost like we're gonna go back
Yes.
to try to like help today.
Yes.
And it's hard for me to wrap my head around what he was trying to do in the past.
Yeah,
as much.
Well, it's and also like once he's there, he kind of meets his girl and falls in love, or begins to
Right.
fall in love with her, at least like, and she's familiar, and so he like goes back. But I think
Okay.
go ahead.
Sorry. So I had to look it up. That's what they were trying to do. They are sending people back in time, like the past and future, to basically.
Sorry,
So-
cat accident.
Yeah. They're sending people back in time to the future, basically to like try to get help.
Yeah.
So like in 12 Monkeys, they're basically trying to find the cure.
Yeah, or stop it in total. Like this one, they're trying to help us, everyone.
They're like, dude, we fucked up. Please, like, somebody stop us from.
It's more like
killing ourselves.
it's more like trying to get like if you're trapped in a big trunk and they're
Yeah.
like trying to like yell through the trunk.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. I just had to wrap my head around.
Yeah, it's. But so with that, when they're doing that, and it's almost like he's clinging to a memory of him as a
Yes.
kid, and what their memory could fail you a little bit. That like that he could be constructing this whole thing of them going to a museum and stuff.
Right.
Some of the stuff that seems like kind of not important that he's doing. I'm not gonna lie to you. When they go to the redwood and be like, "Oh, this is where I was born. This is," which is beautifully done.
Yes.
The way they do it in 12 Monkeys. The way they mimic that, but they don't mimic it because
Right.
they're watching it in a movie in Vertigo.
That was cool when they pulled in the Vertigo
Yeah.
play. That was a big turning point in the movie too, when they basically decided to like go not undercover, but like they put it on costumes.
Disguise. Yeah.
Disguise, thank you. Just like in Vertigo. Nice. It was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gillum really got in his bag on this movie.
He did.
Terry Gillum.
Yeah, it's really magnificent to watch, like visually. It's really a great. But what I love, so we're talking about that mechanism, but then the mechanism, I think it's much more clear that he does go back in time. In
Yes,
12 months.
in 12 months,
Yeah,
yes.
it's much clearer.
Thank you for pulling that thread back
Yes.
together.
So,
Yes.
but also the mechanism, I think it's so interesting. Just living in the world that we live in now, and especially post-pandemic, and things getting rushed, and vaccines and whatnot, and what works and what doesn't work, and blah.
Sure.
Like, why would time travel work perfectly?
That's-
Like a fucking DeLorean.
That's a
because
great
he
point.
constantly gets sent to the wrong place.
I love that part of the movie too.
Yeah,
Which is like,
he goes to World War One.
but it's that yes.
Yeah, and then he goes to 1990. He goes 5 years before he needs to go.
Like, what's cool about that is it's also showing a progression of time.
Yes.
In a movie where time is so loose because they're getting better at sending
Yeah.
people back in the
They're
future.
getting more accurate.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Nah.
No, we fucked up. Shit.
Carry the two.
Yes. Oh, I see what you did in that erasing half the.
But going back to World War II, which it's World War I actually.
Yes.
Which is awesome. And he's in France, which I guess
Yes.
is called that. What's so great about that scene is one, you get to shoot this
war scene.
the war scene, which
Yeah.
is awesome, cool. You shot it, but then how it plays back into the story, which is like, I don't believe you. Wait, that bullet was from when?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. He goes back. And then also, then he sees like his friend getting like
Right.
Jose getting carried. Jose, hey! He's like, well, that was fucking convenient. But also like the dichotomy of the visual dichotomy of that you're in this war, literally hell on earth. Which, by the way, no one talks about World War I anymore. Of
Right.
How horrific that war was.
That's a great point.
Devastating.
Like World War II was that sequel hit so hard. It's almost like a Terminator Judgment Day.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yo, World War II though.
Yeah, you forgot how good fucking Terminator was.
Yeah. World War I was.
It's
joke, dude.
especially. I mean, that was called the Great War for a reason.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
Jesus, people had Gatling guns and shit, like
Crazy.
dropping bombs. No one dropped bombs before that.
For like the first time, they're like,
Yeah, fucking
What are you
mustard
doing?
gas.
Ah!
Even that, they have like mustard gas
Yeah.
in this thing. But and then the dichotomy of like basically he looks like a baby.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of this whole thing.
Yeah, when he comes
and he comes in, he's bald. He's got no hair on him, and he's naked.
Right.
Like, and then he's so confused. He has no idea what's going on. Because of course he's confused.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so interesting. And then he gets shot.
Again, it's like another nice change where like La Jetée, again, it's narrated, so like they spell it out. It's like, okay, people struggle with going back in time. Most people can't do it, and there's only a few folks. In this case, our protagonist, which
Cole. In that one.
yeah, in La Jetée. Let's see, that's the narrator. Yeah. Davos Hanek plays the man.
Réveillé, il lui parle encore. D'une vérité trop fantastique pour être reçue, il garde l'essentiel.
Which is the equivalent of James Cole, who's played by Bruce Willis in the 95 film.
I am simply trying to gather information to help the people in the present trace the path of the virus.
So yeah, Davos, like you said, that deep meditation, he's good at drawing these memories.
Yes.
Bruce, like, it's not as like explicit, like who's good at time travel or not, but like because he does have this deep connection, it is kind of helping more him because he's able to draw back on that. But like, imagine, like, okay, I'm going to 96, and it's like, wait a minute, this is World War One.
Yeah.
And just like, what the fuck?
But he also, like, that's why they chose him, because he has a tough mind, of that he doesn't get that confused as to where he is, because that's got to be such a mind fuck. Like, one, even if you, especially when you don't really know where you are. But he's also detailed oriented, like he can remember things.
Which is so smart to just send him to like 1990.
Yes. That's
first
just off.
Yeah, the first time being just off. Because like, someone with less talent, whether that's the screenplay or the directing, would do the World War thing first.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, crazy. But like, by just missed it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much more impactful when he misses that.
And then also what's great is that when you meet Madeline Stowe's character, Dr. I don't...
Yeah, so in the 1962 film, the equivalent would be Helene Shadlin, who plays the woman.
Only afterwards do they claim remembrance, on account of their scars. That face, which was to be a unique image of peacetime to carry with him through the whole wartime, he often wondered if he had ever seen it, or if he had dreamed a lovely moment to catch up with the crazy moment that came next.
In that film. And Madeline Stowe, in 95, plays Dr. Catherine Rayleigh.
What year do you think it is?
1996.
That's the future, James. Do you think you're living in the future?
Yeah. And but she's giving a talk about, she mentions the World War I scene before you see the scene.
Yeah.
So she's like, this guy had no one knew, and they show, it's like he had no idea why he was there. He had no name, like they had no name that he was not involved in infantry. He didn't speak French. He had no idea who he was. So almost, and they were saying that it was a psychological effect of like PTSD. That possibly that's what it could have been, but obviously it wasn't. It was fucking Jose.
But even that,
the subtlety of that though, like they built it before you got to it.
Correct, which is phenomenal in the subtlety of that. But like also, because you could also interpret the film as did he? Like, is he actually just like nuts? Like that could be a reading of the film as well. So it's like, oh, maybe he's having these memories because of PTSD, like the soldier and the thing. Yeah, man.
It's wild and
so good.
Yeah, the whole thing is wild. Of that, they going back into. But I love the aspect of, like, it was like everything was like steam astrophysics. Everything in the setting of the future, which is also supposed to be, I think, 2035.
Right, it is supposed to be 2035. It would be like less ambitious Blade Runner.
Yes.
Like it's still kind of like the future.
Wind up Blade Runner. Everything like winds up, and you got to do everything by hand, and you got to fucking crank everything. But it's really interesting. I like the way everything's shot, the way like the settings, everything. Even like when they get to the modern day they set him in the room, like the impossible escape. Right. The only way he could get out is through that vent that's 40 feet in the sky, and it's like he couldn't get up there. Right. And I think it does. When I remember first watching it, it's they kind of like, I thought like maybe he is crazy because they put him in a crazy situation of being in a mental institution with Jeffrey Goins, aka Brad Pitt, who's, when you first talk about an introduction by him, it's great. Like when he's sitting there with the shirt over his head,
shirt over his head.
and he's like sitting in the chair.
I love the fit too.
Oh, the fit.
The track jacket. It's just,
Yo, he's great. He's like, oh. Meanwhile, you're looking at him and you're like, this man is beautiful. This guy is so dirty and fucking creepy and will fuck my wife in front of me. But and no one would complain. I'd be like, I give it to you. But and then how he keeps like giving him the tour, and the tour, his little monologue is so good.
So good.
So phenomenal. And then he keeps interrupting it to yell at people for sitting in his chair. It's just so good.
No, I mean that Oscar nomination, I think he deserves it. It also having this interplay, like in La Jetée, the fallback is always just the woman.
Yes.
Right? Like that's
she's the constant.
That's the constant.
She's kind of the constant, kind of, but it's much more subdued constant.
It's more subdued, and I think it intensifies as we go along. Like as he's starting to put the picture back together every time he travels.
Yeah.
I think that their connection becomes more apparent, or I guess meaningful. But like having the Brad Pitt, Jeffrey Goings character as part of the mystery too is like,
how does this work out? And
like I would say that honestly, a lot of their scenes, especially early in the film, are more, I guess, impactful or somewhat more interesting to watch. Like those two interact, and then over time, the Madeline Stowe connection gets a little bit better.
Sometimes she also does some things that she has these flares of yelling sometimes, and it's like, what? Like it kind of comes out of nowhere, like James. He's like, okay.
Well, especially because she's oscillating between like that, like being concerned about him, but also being terrified of him because he's like actually kidnapping her. So she's like, sometimes she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, and then other times she's like, let's hang out. You know? Yeah, it's weird.
Also, the way they drag. I just love the idea of like that science is not a specific science. Like it's like they drag him back at the wrong time. They put him in the wrong place. They keep doing things that are weird.
Well, not only that too. The science not being exact, and some of the different like, I guess allegories and things that they make throughout it. Like when she's talking about psychology or whatever being like the new religion. Yeah. You know, the Goings argument about like germs. I thought that was one of the best monologues in the film, when he's like, "Yeah, the scientists are trying to tell everyone there's like these tiny little things that are like making you sick." And you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Because like, of course, that would be the response. It's like, what's a germ?
What's a germ?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
why am I washing my hands?
Could you please get the fuck away from me?
And how like that guy who is right could be considered like insane.
Insane. Yes.
And Bruce Willis having that parallel is like, hey, same thing.
And then at the same time, everyone that he encounters in the past, the only one you could maybe make the argument for is Madeline Stowe. Everyone else, are they worth saving? Like, are they, like everyone he meets, like the orderlies are like abusive.
Yes.
They like he's like Jimbo, and granted, you know, he's a violent guy, so it's not that unheard of.
Well, he beat up like 9 cops.
Yeah, 9 cops exactly. He comes in like drugged up beyond belief. But they then like later on they go to like that like everything's dirty, like super dirty, and they go to like the whorehouse. Everyone's creepy there. The pimp comes in. Like everyone that they meet is fucking a horrible person. But they don't. Then it gives you like that. Are we worth saving? And then at the same time, Goins is saying the same thing. Right. That we're not worth saving. Like that everything that's happening to animals is.
Yeah, it's an interesting parallel. Like like you're saying, are we worth saving? And you know, going back to like Madeline Stowe's, like, you know, not to denigrate her performance, I think she did great. But like, that character does fluctuate quite a bit, which actually makes sense because she's dealing with her own battle with like, she thinks she's losing it.
Yeah,
you know,
because she kind of is. Because that's really fucking weird. And then it all starts coming together, and you're like, wait, this bullet is from 1916 or whatever it was.
And like just having that that interplay it's really interesting to me when how concerned she is. I guess it makes sense. Like, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, but like, it makes sense. She's worried about like the 5 billion people. Like, I don't know. Like, I think my first question would be like, yo, but do I live?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be like my first question.
Do I go underground now or what?
Yeah. Because, like, I guess, like, wanting to say humanity makes sense, but that always feels so, like, movie to me. It's like,
Yeah.
I think we would try to save humanity if it was convenient.
I agree, but I also love kind of that he knows it's futile.
Right.
Like, he's doing this, he's like, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to help do my part, but I'm not going to save. I can't save you. There's no saving you.
That's the best refrain that he has throughout the film.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not here to, like, stop it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some information so that maybe someone else can do it.
That's what they told me to do.
Yeah.
They told me to come back and observe. I'm
observing.
Which is honestly the best thing you can do if you're time traveling. It's just observe. Try not to,
try not to fuck shit up.
Yeah, try not to bang your own mom.
Well,
back to the future.
At least not in the past. If you want to do it in the future, you do whatever you want.
Future. Or the present.
Whatever floats your boat.
Also, the tagline that they landed on for 12 Monkeys, phenomenal. The future is history.
Yes.
That's as good as it gets.
That's so fucking 90s.
Yeah,
bro.
it is.
That's so, like, they were sitting around a table, like, what did we call it? It was, the original, I gotta look it up. The original
was terrible.
it was terrible that it didn't make any sense.
Something about a hand. That's
it was like, but it sounded like the hand. I was watching it this morning. I'm sorry. I'm looking. I mean, because we can edit this down. But the Brad Pitt nervous speed. Brad Pitt. The tagline was originally, "The future is in the hands of a man who has none."
Right.
And they thought that this guy is an amputee.
Yeah.
Like, what? He has no hands. So, and it is pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Like, I actually don't quite get what you're trying to say. Like, the future out of his hands.
Yes.
It's not the way.
No, he has no future.
Okay. The past part. Whatever.
But it doesn't make sense. It's a terrible written. But the future is history.
Much better.
But it's true. But it's not history. It's still there. It's just shitty.
Yeah. Because the future's still the future. Because history implies that it's the past. But
Yeah. But that was also I love the explanation kind of because spoiler alert, Brad Pitt's character is a red herring.
Yeah.
That they think that Brad Pitt's character released all of this disease because his father's like a scientist.
Which, how good is it that the title of the film is a red herring?
Yes, the whole title. And it means nothing, really.
It's so good.
Yes, that they're the army of the 12 monkeys. Meanwhile, they're just a radical, like, PETA group.
Yeah.
That release a bunch of animals in the zoo.
It's just like 12 random dudes.
Yeah, they lock Christopher Plummer in the monkey cage.
Oh, man.
And Christopher Plummer's company is the one that makes the disease that kills mankind. So you think, like, he has access, blah, 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 but nope. He has no desire to kill human beings. He's just trying to free some monkeys.
Yeah, and then when they change after watching Vertigo and they're trying to get to the airport, it's like, what's taking so long to get to the airport?
Yeah.
You hear about the 12 monkeys, like, 12 monkeys.
Oh, shit. And then they see what they did. They're like, oh, fuck. Like, he's sitting in the car, like, oh, hey, forget about the army of the 12 monkeys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Oh,
I fucking love that part, too, when he's trying to leave messages for the future.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's a carpet cleaning company.
The carpet cleaning company, the black chick the first time because it's the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a house?
Huh?
What?
What?
Can you imagine getting that call to when you're like just when you walk in the chaos of that fucking room? You're like, yo, this bitch ain't fucking. And for both of us, that was the only communication. It's not like, hey, text me.
Yeah, right.
The communication is that phone rang, you fucking answered it. Huh? What the fuck are you? Carpet cleaning? I don't know how to carpet. Get off my line.
They're so good at Gillum and the cinematography team, they're so good at disorienting the viewer. Because even that scene, I mean, it's kind of standard, but like, she's got the baby in one arm, she's trying to stir the fucking, the food, she's got the thing. Everything about the mental institution, the way they shoot that, I love all those sequences.
Yes.
And the different actors throughout it, like, I don't know the actor's name, like the black guy.
Yeah, like, I'm not originally from, I'm not always, I'm not from outer space or whatever.
Yeah.
That guy, who's great. Who's so committed. He's like a giant James Brown with his fucking, but James Brown in the mugshot.
Yeah. If they did that again today, it'd be Jeffrey Wright from Westworld.
Yes.
That's exactly who.
Seriously.
You know.
Seriously.
Because I just watched The French Dispatch, and he's great in that.
Oh, he's great in everything.
No, Jeffrey Wright.
I'm reading the James Bond novels, and you know he plays Felix Leiter in the new James Bond. But now I'm reading all the old ones, and I just imagine him as Felix Leiter in all these, and it's like this is so much better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's so great. He's got like that soft voice too that can be booming. You know.
It can come from any angle.
Yeah, and I think Brad Pitt would knock it out of the park now too, more so.
Yeah, like
Bruce Willis not so much, but gotta get Steven Seagal.
I know we talked about this a bit like last week. This is one of my favorite Pitt portrayals.
Yeah.
I think he like just for his acting career, you know, not too many people claim him to be like the greatest actor, but like he's in some shit.
Oh,
This is a place for crazy people.
I'm not saying you're not mentally ill. For all I know, you're crazy as a loon.
He's way. People don't take him as seriously as they should because of he's the most handsome man that's ever lived, perhaps.
Right.
Like it's like him or James Dean. I don't know. But you were discussing too about throwing people off, and we talked about the red herring of 12 Monkeys. He also does things in this movie that you're like that throw you off completely. Gilliam, that is.
Right.
That you're like, is that? Like, you start with everyone in the insane asylum.
Yeah.
Like, everyone here is crazy.
Right.
But then you get further along that it kind of blends the line a little bit.
Sure.
Like, is Jeffrey Goins crazy? Or is he... And then did Bruce Willis plant the idea for it in... Because, like, he got sent to the wrong time. He talked to him about the 12 Monkeys. Right. And if it wasn't for that, then would Brad Pitt's character become that? But then there's the homeless guy.
Yes.
The homeless guy telling Bruce Willis to cut out his teeth because that's how they get you. Is that guy from the future? I don't know, but then you don't get any explanation. You're like, fuck, I don't know, man. Like, and I was really watching it this time, and like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's so hard to say. It's you know, the original film has a reliable narrator. There's not a narrator in this film, but if there is one, it's unreliable.
Completely.
Like, what's real, what's not, who's... Like you said, that homeless guy is the best example.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You have no idea.
I would say one major difference, and I think a smart cut in 12 Monkeys, is La Jetée, our protagonist, or the man, goes to the future at some point. And I think that by going to the future, in the future actually being, like, okay, like...
It takes the stakes down.
Yeah, everything's gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine. Like,
everything will grow again.
Yeah.
Everything will be better.
And like, it's like this, you know, like almost tropey, like utopian type future. People are like beyond, almost like emotions and like they're just almost perfect beings.
Yes.
With knowledge of everything. It's like, okay, so like we get out of the caves and we figure this.
Yeah, we go back into it. Okay.
It's like, which makes it interesting when the man in La Jetée decides to just stay, because they're like, hey, you're pretty good at time travel. You want to just hang out and be one of us? And he's like, no, I kind of like this chick from.
Yeah, I like this broad back here.
Like, all right,
okay, let's go.
It's like, you know, you can't change your past, right?
You can't change the past.
Bye. Oh no, it's you. You died.
No, I got killed.
Just say.
Which I also, it kind of like, I'm like, why'd you kill him? I guess because he went back and he wasn't supposed to, but the whole, like, the death in 12 Monkeys makes much more sense.
Yes.
Like, because he's like, well, you're doing the right thing the complete wrong way.
Right.
And also, what they just to draw back for a second of splicing in almost intentional like confusion.
Right.
What, like the homeless guy, but when he remembers back after meeting Brad Pitt, he remembers to the time of spoiler his own death.
Right.
He remembers the guy with the ponytail and the red hair.
Right.
So you meet Brad Pitt with a ponytail in the future, and then his face is spliced into as that guy. That you're like, oh, he's the bad guy.
Right.
But he's just misremembering it.
Exactly.
But then again, Brad Pitt, the guy still has a ponytail, but he just put ponytail Brad Pitt.
Yep.
Like, so it's, and they don't put any other questions to it, which is also the main villain, David Morse, who's the guy who brings it out, who's Christopher Plummer's head assistant in the labs, who, by the way, my mother loves David Morse.
Yeah?
Because he was on As the World Turns,
Oh,
and
yeah,
she was like, oh, he could do no wrong. He's great.
He plays
but when you meet him, he's so creepy and so stone faced. You can't even smell it. But they have when you meet him, he's in a clean suit, so you don't see his hair.
Right.
Which is so good. Like you see, so he's in like the whole suit of like I can't.
And even like that recurring thing. I know it's a different type of suit. It's not quite like his outfit at the beginning. Bruce Willis's outfit at the beginning, when he goes into the clear, kind of clean suit when he's above surface, when he lands before he gets put into the mental facility, and he takes the lady's clear raincoat because it's just like remember thinking just like his ability, Terry's ability to just put these different images throughout the film, and like you're saying, the use of the clean suit to obfuscate the fact that this is
that's the
ponytail.
Yeah, because he's got a ponytail. Because obviously the ponytail is going to stand out.
Right.
It's going to clearly. But also, back to what you were saying about the future. What I love about the 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
How they don't go into the future, so you don't know if it worked.
Right.
Like you have no idea if any of it, because like I said, is at the end, David Morse releases and security, he releases the virus. That's how it gets out.
Well, plane tickets everywhere.
Plane tickets everywhere, all over the country, is going on quite the traveling expedition. Yeah. But and on the first plane, he's sitting next to one of the main scientists that send Bruce Willis back. Now, is she there on purpose, or is she just happen to be there? And this is how she gets away from like the disease because she's traveling in different places. Right. Now you don't know, and then you have first of all, Bruce Willis clearly can't get out of it because he sees himself die, and he's always seen himself die. And then you talk about Jose in World War I. So none of this, is this all for naught? It doesn't matter what they do? I don't know. That's what I love, the doubtfulness.
Yes, I think so. Like the doubtfulness, is this sort of time meddling causing the problem? Is the time meddling the solution for the problem? But
also, then they have also the new information of him leaving the message of forget about the army of the 12 monkeys. It has nothing to do with them. Right. So that's also new. Right. Maybe the whole thing is just for that phone call. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because like if you're in the future, 2035, and your singular focus is like, oh yeah, it's the 12 monkeys. That must be what causes it. And like you're sending all these resources towards that when it's like, hey dude, stop.
Stop. Don't do that. It's not that.
It's not that. It's another thing. You're right.
So that might be the whole premise of like maybe like what he was saying was actually right. I mean, I don't know if any of these answers are correct.
No.
But that's what I like. That's what I love about it. Is that his whole thing is like, I can't save anyone. Right. I'm not going to save him. Maybe that's correct. Maybe he can. Right. Because even though he's the protagonist, his little bit of help is that phone call. And then that narrows the search down a little bit. They could go back, send someone else back, and send someone else back. Or maybe they keep sending him back, and so that he could like build upon that. Yeah. I don't know.
Hard to say.
It's like there's like a thought process of, and this is getting a little deep for this podcast, but I'll say it just because it made me think of it, of like how people say like the meaning of life, and what I don't think most people would want to know what their purpose in all of this is. No. Because you wouldn't want to know. Like what if your whole purpose of being, your entire existence in the metaphysical scale of the whole universe is you have to bump into someone at a coffee shop where they drop the coffee, and because they drop the coffee, they're fit 5 minutes later that they don't get into a car accident 5 miles down the road, and that same person who doesn't get into a car accident 3 generations later has an 80% cure rate to leukemia.
Right.
You know, but you bumped into them. That's what you did. That's all. And you were 24 years old when you did that. The rest of your life is meaningless.
Yeah, like
you wouldn't want to know that.
No, you wouldn't want to know that. Like that effectively, you were just a cog in the machine. Like you're necessary.
Yes.
It's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous at all.
Necessary.
That's exactly what. And he's like the cog in this machine.
You know what's funny that that reminds me of a book that I really like. I don't know if you ever read it. Called Fifth Business.
Mm-mm.
So it's a novel by this guy Robertson Davies, and and like the title Fifth Business means something like, I guess, like stage play sort of. In plain English, Fifth Business is a name given to a character who is neither hero nor heroine, confidant nor villain. In short, a character of apparent unimportance. But like in a story, like even an unimportant character is important. So like in that book, without doing spoilers for that novel, the guy you're following isn't really who the story's about.
It's about everyone else.
It's about everyone else. But he has impact on each and every one of them, and it has like observations that lead to different events happening throughout the film.
I get that. There's a book, a very famous book, The Stranger by Albert Camus, that he does. He's also, the main character is dull and void of emotion as far as everything goes, and everyone else is reacting to him not having the emotion of his mother dying, and then he gets into a fight with somebody, kills a guy.
Yeah.
But it's like the same idea that you're like the non-reaction is the reaction.
Right. There's another book. I mean, now we're just getting into books, but like there's another book I read that has a similar theme, but it was called Gravel Heart.
Gravel Heart.
The guy's last name's like Gurnan, but like
he at the end he's being executed screaming driveway.
What?
Braveheart.
Yeah.
Get a Gravel Heart.
Okay.
Thank you, but
Let's get
them.
Yeah.
12 monkeys. Anyway,
But yeah, no, like something happens to his father in that book, and it sets off all of these events.
okay.
And then at the end, like you're saying, like his father's life was a complete disaster afterwards, but like everyone else got to do shit.
Yeah.
And they quoted like Shakespeare at some point. I'm gonna botch the quote, but it's basically like, actually, fuck that. I'm gonna read it because since we're doing this is good. Oh yeah. Some people have a use in the world, even if it's only to swell a crowd and say yeah, and some people don't.
That's true.
So kind of like along those lines, like, yeah, maybe.
And at the same time, what I think is to bring it back to time travel and another book and back to 12 Monkeys, is that it kind of reminds me of him going back and forth of all this, of like kind of like Slaughterhouse-Five.
Yeah, yeah.
That he's almost like a passenger in his own life, and even though he's proactive, he can't be. Like he's automatically doomed to do.
Right.
He has no influence over it.
Yeah.
He has. He's trapped. He's no matter what, and he sees the vicious loop. Although I don't know if he notices his own self watching him die. In La Jetée, he does.
Yes.
He knows, like, oh,
right,
this is fucking me.
Right.
And he sees himself watching him.
That's a good point. Like, I don't know if that realization comes from playing 12 Monkeys. He's just dying.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Like, I don't know if the realization.
Yeah, I don't know if it comes, but would it?
But just the fact that we realize it.
Yeah, you realize that's it. It is true. It is enough. That's also the fact of him like beating over his head, beating up. You don't have to beat us over. We got it.
Right.
You know, like
right.
We.
No,
it's so fascinating though, and I love the time travel story that doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of like it.
Yeah. No, I do like that aspect of it. And yeah, the Slaughterhouse-Five reference is great too. Just I forget the name of the aliens in that, but when they observe time, it's all at once.
Yeah.
It's like nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
These are moments you're not gonna go back. Like they asked a question like at some point in that book, someone destroys the universe. Like they press a button, they destroy the universe. It's like, aren't you gonna stop? It's like, no, he always presses the button.
Yeah, he always presses the
Press the button.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah, so it goes.
Yeah, and so it goes. And so it goes.
Yeah, there's a very much that element that I appreciate about Bruce Willis's character in 12 Monkeys. It's like, hey, stop all this change stuff. Like, I'm taking information, taking resources, like we said earlier. That's all I'm here to do. And you're right. Is that what it takes?
Yeah,
to save the world.
Exactly, and it's what maybe that little, and then they build upon that little bit, but you don't know.
Right.
That's what's beautiful. Like maybe he always left that message.
Right.
And you just it's so confusing, but it's really interesting, and he's always pressed the button. He's always left a message, and then they might send him back, and he might build, but either way. And at one point, maybe it was Jeffrey Goins.
Yeah,
maybe. Who knows? That's that's the whole thing. You don't know.
Right. Like because the Jeffrey Goins thing, right? Like you gave Jeffrey the idea, but then that gave them the ability to like try to warn the doctor. The doctor's like, no, I put things into place to stop this from happening, but like did that set up the other guy being like, now I have access to
now I'm on the backup plan,
right.
So now I could do this, and I'm done with these people.
Yeah,
and the whole movie, you're seeing people that you should, maybe you should, and it's almost, it was really a very good movie. It's very deep, intense.
Yeah, I mean,
well acted, and Christopher Plummer, God rest his soul, he does such a great job.
He really does.
And then also they have the original Riddler from the Batman TV show as a psychiatrist, and he's as glib and cynical as anyone could possibly be, especially for someone that fought Batman as many times as he did.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think La Jetée is an interesting.
It's a great idea.
Exactly.
It really is a great idea, and also the idea of that. Have you ever done this? And I've had that in the same respect of La Jetée.
Mm-hmm.
That I was thinking about this. Like, have you ever felt woken up on a summer morning and you hear the birds before your eyes open up? Yeah. You could swear that you're 10 years old. Like you could,
I know.
I could be I know where I would be. I know what I would be doing. Blah blah blah. And it's almost. And it's taking that feeling and exacerbating it to the point of you're actually there and you're sensationalizing. And why in the world post ayahuasca being and why couldn't you be there? That's what I love about that. It's like you probably could.
Funny enough.
It's I don't know if he ever actually goes anywhere.
Yeah, no, true. Funny enough, Bridget earlier, she had a post about just laying out in the grass.
Yeah.
One day, and I was like, yeah, that feeling of the sun hitting you, being on the grass. You're right. I'm not thinking about that in the concept of now. I'm thinking about it in the past.
Yeah, how that felt.
There's a bridge. I think it's actually the Baltimore Washington tunnel or whatever. There's a bridge that I travel on when I go back to Maryland and stuff like that, and it always reminds me of this time when it's just in the back seat and my grandfather had one of those mobile TVs and we watched baseball.
Oh yeah.
A car ride down. That might as well have been, because it's well before the iPhone and stuff, that might as well have been magic. The fact that we were watching the Mets.
I swear to God, the same thing. It was I remember being 9 years old when my grandmother died. And then we got a limo, and we're driving to her cemetery, and the limo had a fucking TV, same thing, and we could watch 21 Jump Street on this thing. What do I remember about my grandmother's funeral?
Right.
Watching Johnny Depp as fucking David Hansen running around, yo, down on Jump Street. Don't get me wrong, I was upset by her dying and all, but that was a pretty good consolation prize at the time. I was fucking 9.
I had a similar experience with my grandmother when my grandma's passed, and the cemetery where she's buried is next to like a golf course. And like we're sitting there and we're trying to have this like somber moment, and it's like what? And you're like, yo, this shit almost hit me. And like we were like,
that's too good.
It was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave.
I
miss your grandma, but
love you.
That's
this is.
I'm not getting hit with a fucking baseball.
Yeah, it's time to get
a golf ball.
It's time to get out of it. But you all have those moments, like you have. There are certain things too, like I remember traveling in Europe. And like it's just certain songs that like will trigger it for me, like a memory. Like this man tried to accost me in the bathroom of a French bathroom, and he was trying to do a little diddling to the guy here, like, and he was putting out the bait pretty heavy, and I did not appreciate it. But I remember this is the early days of iPods. Of course, I didn't have an iPod. I had a Dell Pod, which was connected to your Dell computer. But I had that's a sign of the times if there was ever been one, by the way. But I was listening to Ray Charles Mess Around, and I fucking mess around. And meanwhile, this guy's trying to fucking fondle me.
That is a phenomenal song for a fight scene.
I know, right? And I fucking knock this around, and this guy falls back with his dick out, and it's like,
so a blind black man from the South. Yeah, had to learn how to play piano.
Exactly. It's like, oh god.
and whoever was like Adele was like, Apple's just eating our shit.
Yeah. What about a Del Pot? What about a Del Pot? Yo, who's gonna buy this? Here's Dan Farley. Yes, I'm going to Europe.
And some French guys like, yeah, I got.
Yo, look at that guy.
Yeah. Which means like at one point you lifted too many weights.
Yes.
Like, like the cosmic confluence.
And then yes, I don't want you to think that he was creepy and sexually assaulted, but he got his. Everybody, I don't want to turn this around.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I have a newfound appreciation for this film.
I know. See, it goes. Everything's connected, and it's like another Kurt Vonnegut book that's like that. It's the Sirens of Titan.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it for because you didn't read it, but so I'm not going to spoil it in the room. But it's very much in the same concept of these ideas that we're discussing here, of like of what they have to do to get to something else, to what, and then it's like that was the whole fucking reason. Like that entire thing was for this.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, even like I'm not finished with it yet, but like I'm reading Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle, and like that concept of like I guess the crass or like these people that you're connected to.
Yes.
Right. Like I guess in 12 Monkeys maybe it's Jose and him and the woman or Madeline Stoll's character, Jeffrey Goings. Like they all are part of this story. It needs to be woven. Like no matter how much he wants to stop the disease. It needs to happen. This is
the whole thing.
This is
everything. Yes, this is what everyone has to come together.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of quotes from this movie that I say to myself constantly, but it's a reference that I don't think anyone would get. Like I was saying it to myself in the car when that woman was parking, and it was a mess. Like whatever she was doing was annoying, and it was annoying, and I was like female. and then every time when someone's saying something that's insane, I just look at them and I'm like, that is very sane. Very sane. Yeah. Very, 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 very sane.
God, he's so good.
He's good. He's very good. So go ahead.
So for me, I got the hands.
Got the hands.
My talking, thinking hands.
There's a commercial that annoys me right now with a guy like that.
All right.
Could you stop? Just hold some mugs, man.
That's so good. The 20-minute featurette, La Jetée, from 1962, like you said, is a great concept.
It's a great concept.
The concept's dope, and it actually executed really well for like a thought experiment, like having the future in that is fine in the concept of that film because it's not built out the way 12 Monkeys is. So it's like, okay, here's the future, and we're basically trying to tell you, stop trying to change the past because that's like not going to happen.
Yeah, you can't let it go. You have to let it go.
Which in the concept of that film is a lot of fun. 12 Monkeys, I guess we're at this part of the podcast, absolutely should exist because it took the central premise of that featurette, expanded into this like really deep and like immersive experience,
and just this metaphysical idea of everything. And I mean that does too. but it expanded it so much if it were a reality.
Right. It was like, okay, here's a series of pictures, and like you're kind of filling the blanks with like in your own mind of like, wow, what would this be like?
I 100% agree with you. I couldn't that not only does both of these should exist.
Yes.
Because the central idea of La Jetée is so imperative to the human's development, the spirit of like all these ideas, but also the way it's executed is so specific that you don't need any. There's no special effects in it. There's nothing that you need. Like it's like I said, student filmish, but it's at the far better end of it. Like it's almost like student films are a terrible recreation of that. You know, it's like I am all that. Oh, I'm so alone, and then. But then 12 Monkeys taking that idea and just expounding upon it and adding this whole element of these, you know, is it real? Is it not real? And then it is real. The only qualm I can come up with really is there's some like ADR stuff that I'm like, that's you're clearly not saying that.
The 90s.
Yes, it's the 90s. And then but also it feeds so well into, as for a guy that loves reading like watching on YouTube like the different like top 10 like weird things that you see, like James Cole could be all over those lists, right? Like when he's trapped in the fucking thing and he's and in the psych ward and they're like, how did he get out? Like no one knows. There's this naked guy. Yes, exactly. Like he couldn't speak French. No one knows who he is. Like. It's all these like top 10 lists that I gotta watch, like creepiest things you'll find on the internet. All of these, like, motherfucker, like these are there. If you look, so I would love. So that's another part I love, but also the profound interest in the human psyche and time travel, but the effect that would have on it, it is really well done, and then it's executed so well.
And you know,
the other thing that I wouldn't say that I don't 100. It's like the disease. If you go underground, I don't know if you're going to be protected from anything.
But you know, I think they will allow.
Yes, I'll allow it. I'll let it go. I'll let both go.
You know, I think. Damn, lost it. No, I also think that a lot of times we're watching films and we're talking about adaptations and stuff like that. A lot of times they're like doing that one-to-one shit. It was so smart to not include the future.
Yes.
It you know, there's a way to do it, but like just take it like we don't want to know what James Cole's future is. Like we want to think about it, but we don't want to know.
Well, he has no future.
That's true. He's got no hands.
No hands. He's got no hands. My hands are tied now.
My hands are tied. Yeah, no, it's really
great.
Really fucking good.
Okay, so what do you want to do for the next one?
No, we've been talking about it. Why don't we do Les Mis?
Oh, Les Mis!
Do Les Mis.
Les Miserables! We'll keep it in French. Keep it going. I like it.
Yeah.
Les Miserables. Which one are we doing?
Boy.
We're going to do we could do like the 90s one that's not singing and the new one that's singing?
Yeah.
Okay, the one with Liam Neeson not singing? And then the Hugh Jackman singing. We gotta do the Hugh Jackman one.
We gotta do the Hugh Jackman one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. The other one's like gets a little.
Yeah, that could be much. Like I think the juxtaposition would be good to discuss.
Yes.
So,
I'm in.
Yeah. Plus, I can read Les Mis.
Yes. Oh, read Les Mis.
Yeah.
I got to. That's gonna take a bit.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, that's on my list too. Again, I read it years ago.
I'll get it done.
But anyway, yes, we'll get it done. All right.
Awesome, man.
It's been another Retroverse Remake. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe. Follow us at Retroverse Remake on Instagram.
Yep. You can follow me at RP Comedy on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, and you can follow me at Dan Farley18 on Instagram or JerseyDan18 on Twitter. And then, that's it. And then we also, we should promote that show. We're going to have a show in Staten Island, New York, at the St. George Theater on September 19th. We have September, it's either 19th, sorry guys, I should have looked this up. September 16th.
The 16th.
The St. George Theater on Staten Island. It's also Rosh Hashanah.
Oh.
That we have 2 shows, a 7 o'clock and a 9:30 show. We're gonna have a great lineup of us, the 2 of us doing comedy.
Absolutely.
This is the Colonel Mastodon show. If you want to buy tickets, you can go to the stgeorgetheater.com and buy tickets. You'll see this cabaret schedule, and you can find us.
Yeah.
And then we'll have other things coming up, reasons too.
I think this is a swing, but I think we should try to submit this to the New York City Comedy Festival too.
What?
Us.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
do it.
let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's
Right,
go.
yeah. So yeah, it'd be dope. But yeah, listen to us on Spotify.
Yes,
YouTube.
iTunes. Click like, subscribe, comment. If you, yeah, that's it, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll be back next time with Les Miserables.
All right. Good stuff, man.
Good shit.